to be looking at my phone with my notes. I was like, you know what, I'm going to record. So I am looking forward to talking with you guys again, have a conversation. I was outside today, I was at the park, and I was just talking to myself for like 2 hours, over 2 hours, and lately it's been my healthy way of rest, is allowing myself to just sit and talk. And I wanted to do it outside in the park, and I'm trying to incorporate more healthy ways of resting. So my favorite way at the moment is allowing myself to just sit and just talk to myself out loud. Sometimes I will record my voice for like 2 hours straight, an hour and a half, but lately I haven't been recording, I've just been talking out loud. This is one way of me garnering my thoughts, and in that way I can then conjure up a video idea to share with you guys of some thoughts I've been having. So right now I'm just wanting to talk about rewriting the stories that we have in our mind, or releasing these shackles that we have in our mind. Maybe I should put my notes down like this if I can read it. As I flip through each chapter, which is each season, there was less resistance to what is, and more in awe of what is. One of the biggest stories that we have, that we carry, is the story of how things should look like in our life. I think we conjure up the story of how things should be very early on. For me, it started, one of the earliest stories is how my life should look like. And that manifested as wishing for my family to have money at an early age. Of course I wanted my family to have money. You know, I wanted my family to be abundant in the form of currency. And when I say rewriting our stories, I'm going to mainly focus on the story of how our life should look like, because that's been one of my biggest stories I've kept in my mind. I don't carry that many stories of how I should be. I'm more accepting of how I am. You know, I'm sure I could think of a couple of things, but it's mainly the stories of how I want the outside to be instead of the inside. I don't have many demons in my inner world, at least within the way I am. So I'm going to start off with how I wanted life to look like. You know, I think it's in your teenage years, I was very attached to, this is how I want it to go, how I want life to go. And my intention is to spark beingness, is to spark gratitude that is reachable at any moment. Gratitude is an accessible frequency that is capable of being tuned to. It is not some self-care tool that requires doing, as in having a bath, using skin regimens, even exercising. That's all great, but it requires doing. And gratitude requires nothing but being. It is a state of being rather than doing. So I hope that by allowing myself to share with how I kept myself from being present to what is, I hope that I can spark some sense of gratitude, some sense of beingness with your season of your life currently. The examples I will give, I'll give a few examples of how I want my life to look like, right? And one of the most effective stories that instilled pressure into my life is how my life should look like. One of the ways I wanted my life to look like is I wanted things fast. I wanted to be able to do things quickly. I wanted to be able to accomplish things quickly. Of course, I wasn't taking the necessary steps to do so, you know. And that's one thing, I wasn't actually taking steps to do so. My last video kind of talked about that. But I still had this fantasy. That's why it's a story. This story for me, my genre, my book right now, it's fantasy. And I was carrying a lot of that, and I wanted to travel as soon as I was in my 20s. And I wanted things to happen for me quickly. And I was telling myself that I have to travel at a certain age. It was all about what I can do with each age. This age, I have to do these things, and I turn this age. It was always a timeline, and a lot of the stories I was telling myself included a timeline. And as I mold into a more practical, responsible, sensible, pragmatic personality, I can tune into a sense of patience to what does come my way and when things happen. And with that, there's less pressure that is instilled in me. And I felt that today as I was walking to the park, and I kept talking to myself about lots of things that I will mention in the video. And every year, there's always a period of time where I've just realized that I think differently. My thought processes are different. And it gets polished more and more each year. And I think a lot of us feel that. And that's what's so fascinating. And that's what I love about growth. Because you're just feeling like you're being polished more and more. And it happened. And it feels like it happens during the spring a lot. Feels like the spring. I don't know. Maybe something like that. But I was like, wait a minute. There's more acceptance to the timeline of my life. I felt that. Because when I was 20, 21, 22, there's a lot of impatience to when things were happening. And the time I didn't have this, I was okay with being impatient. Like, I was like, you know what? I want things to happen this way when I want it to happen. And I wasn't letting that go, but I was reflecting year after year, and it allowed me to be okay with, this is where I am right now. This is where I live. This is the particular city I live in right now. This is the space I'm occupying right now. This is the season of my life right now, and that is and it takes a long time. It can take a long time to be, like, you know what? I'm okay with where I'm at right now. This is okay. It doesn't have to be any other way. This is right here. This is right now. And that is okay. And that is what is meant to be at this moment. And as I tune into my own self more and more, I have these moments where I'm like, this is actually perfectly orchestrated as it is right now. This is the experience I'm having right now. This is my life experience I'm living in right now. There's nothing else that needs to change. It's just happening right now. And there doesn't need to be any other way because it is here. It is happening right now. And that goes with emotions that I'm feeling. If it's heavy emotions that it's hard to deal with, I'm like, okay, this is hard, this is difficult, these are unpleasant emotions, but these are emotions that I'm feeling right now. This is the experience I'm having right now. Let me feel it. Let me go through with these emotions, go through these emotions, because this is the experience I'm having right now. And when I think about the traveling part, it's as if like I couldn't see. I now see that I wasn't prepared at the time to travel at 21, 20, because I was unprepared. I was not. I didn't instill the characteristics I do now. I was being responsible, pragmatic, sensible, impulsive, impatient. Now that I have instilled certain characteristics, I do feel more prepared to take on that adventure. It's something that I'm still being patient with because I'm not yet prepared for financially. So that's something that, as I was walking today, I was like, wait, there's less resistance to the timeline of even traveling. And I felt the last few months, like 2 months, I'd say 3 months even, I keep moving because my phone is, black, when you don't touch it, black starts to turn off. Trying not to have it turn off. There was a few events that I couldn't go to this year. And instead of just wanting to happen, like it has to happen, like as it is, I was like, oh, okay, I can go. I couldn't go. I had, my presence needed to be somewhere else at the time, my attention needed to be elsewhere right now, at that moment. There's less restriction of, it has to be this way, and just allowing things to flow as it is. And that's something I can feel more comfortable with accepting. There's less grip of how things should go. It really just allows me to just allow the river to continue flowing. It's a continuous flow of water that's, as events and experiences, people come and go, it's a continuous flow. Oh gosh, how do I take this? Okay, so I feel the sense of like relief. Like a sigh of relief. So there's a sigh of relief. We get so trapped into wanting things to go our way. And it's not easy to, of course, it's not easy. But I think we can instill some sense of gratitude with, I'm able to move my fingers, I'm able to walk with 2 legs, I'm able to hold any sort of object, if I'm able to have the strength to carry a book, I'm able to carry this. It's amazing because then It allows me to carry all sorts of things. I have the bones to carry all sorts of things. I have, even I was witnessing these animals, these squirrels, these birds, and I'm like, I'm so blessed to be on this earth with them. I'm able to be on this earth with them. I'm able to witness life with them at the same time. Like, it's a blessing. It truly is a blessing. Imagine if I still had those characteristics of being irresponsible and traveling at the same time. I would probably burn through my wallet, which I wasn't so irresponsible, but when I wanted things, I wanted it right then and there a few years ago, and that harmed my livelihood and it sabotaged my livelihood at the time. And like I said, one of the biggest stories, like I've repeatedly said, is this story I've been telling myself of how things should go. And in childhood, I told myself I wanted my family to have money, and then I wanted my family to live in another state that was more interesting other than Illinois. But I now see that, okay, then Illinois, that is the family I chose to step into in this lifetime. Okay, that's part of the story arc. That's part of the book. My family's in Illinois, and there doesn't need to continue. That's it. Period. And the end. There doesn't need to be a continuation of that. I have an amazing family. My immediate family is a blessing. It's a really blessing. My siblings are a true blessing. I will travel anywhere to see them at this point, you know? Having a group of friends as well. It's like, okay, I do want a group of friends. They will come when they come, and when I'm prepared, spirit and God will provide me when I am prepared. I still hide myself away when I'm too afraid to show my imperfections to anyone. So there's less and less of a story of how my life is. I see that this is perfectly orchestrated. I'm in this vessel, in this particular city, in this particular sanctuary. It is all here. It is all here. Nature reflects back to us the essence of true being. The inhabitants of the sea are not concerned with life on land. Life on land are not concerned with what lives at the depth of the ocean. Earth is orbiting around the sun, not concerned with the speed that it takes Mercury to orbit the sun. Or Neptune is not concerned for however long it takes to orbit the sun. All planets orbit the sun at its own timing. Everything is moving at the time that it is meant to move. That goes with letting go of what we don't get to do on this earth. Maybe what we don't get to do will have another chance in our next life. Of course, I can't wait for certain things to happen in my life. Of course, I can't wait for more prosperous seasons. However, I am here, and I'm here right now. I'm doing okay, and I can obtain all the necessary resources that I need in this moment. We worship people that are trapped in their minds. Sheep follows sheep, I wrote as well. I wrote that in the notes. That's all for today. I hope we can continuously release shackles that we place on our minds. With these stories, there's always this underlying negative core belief that we hold. So when stories, we can then uncover what is the root of the story. What is the root, the core belief that is feeding into this story. So I didn't want to get into the core beliefs. Of course, it can look like not being good enough, not feeling good enough, not having enough. That's a little bit of what lies underneath for me. Yeah, so I might, make a part two, maybe what other stories we can carry in our lives, stories we can carry in our minds. I just think that was a big one that a lot of us feel, is like how life should look like. How life should look like.